A mix of severe weather causing problems all across the West tonight, and emergency managers expect the concerning conditions will stick around for several days.
Repaired the breach, and now we're building a containment structure so that if we have another breach, we can direct the water where we want to go.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Tonight, dangerous weather conditions are keeping people on alert from the Pacific Northwest to Colorado. These storms have created an unusual sight in Colorado for this time of year. In the northern part of that state, strong winds are fueling a couple of wildfires tonight. While in Oregon, gusty winds are taking down power lines and trees. And in Montana, a blizzard has created whiteout conditions in some places. We begin tonight's severe weather coverage in western Washington. As Fox 13's Dan Griffin reports tonight, floodwaters that have been an issue since last week are now starting to recede.
It doesn't take long to see just how hard Kent has been hit by recent flooding and high winds, and recent rainfall has only served as insult to injury for people who live and work near the Green River. Now, despite positive progress today, it has been an emotional roller coaster for neighbors and city officials alike.
It created panic and chaos. I'm just going to be really blunt.
That's Kent Mayor Dana Ralph reflecting on the day of the Desmony levee breach, when it seemed there were contrasting messages coming from the city and the National Weather Service, which issued a flash flood warning.
There was a levee breach. There was not a dam break. That is the other language that was used, and those are very different things.
Ralph says the city was surprised by the National Weather Service alert.
The breach in the levee, while significant and dangerous, I want to be really clear that there is an absolute flood component to that. It's much slower and would build its way out, and not that massive wall of water that comes to mind when you hear the word flash flood.
She says that's when the calls of concern started. Local businesses, neighbors, even city workers worried they needed to get out and fast, causing traffic jams.
That chaos then turned into the inability or significant hampering of fixing of the problem. So we needed to get equipment in there to repair that levee. City of Kent crews working with King County needed to bring in dump trucks, rock, all of those equipment, and we had to have police escorts for our equipment to get them to the levee.
The mayor says prior to the weather agency's blast,
the message went out broadly, so even areas that, looking at the inundation maps, would have taken 12, 18, 24 hours to reach.
The city of Kent planned to send code red alerts, or reverse 911 calls, to a much smaller, more defined area based on estimated flooding impacts. She says by the time the levee was plugged, messaging was still not in sync.
I was watching the press conference where the National Weather Service was, and they were saying there's this continued risk of a flash flood, and I had before that received pictures of the fact that that levee was repaired and the water was no longer flowing.
Ralph says words matter, and in moments like these, more than ever.
We have to coordinate language. I can't emphasize enough. I am more concerned that the panic that was created was far more dangerous than the situation on the ground. And there was real flooding. The levee had breached. There was water coming out. That is not downplaying that. But flash flood warning to an area so large with so many people in it, there's no way to manage that in a safe way.
Now, the mayor encourages people in whichever city they live to stay connected to their city's websites, social media accounts, even apps, especially during emergencies. She also warns people to watch out for AI-generated content, which they say has already proven to be a problem during these floods. For now, in Kent, Dan Griffin, Fox 13 News.
All right, from Washington to Oregon and east of Portland in Hood River County, a local emergency has been declared because of heavy rainfall that's expected to cause flooding tonight. High water kept first responders busy this morning. They say someone trapped in a flooded marsh called 911 asking for help. Rescue crews were forced to navigate through 4 feet of water and dense vegetation to reach that person. It's unclear how that person got stuck. Crews took them to a hospital to be evaluated. Tonight, we're seeing dramatic video showing the power of yesterday's storms in Oregon, and this video is getting a lot of attention online. A man shot it on his phone. A strong wind gust moved through Canby, south of Portland. He captured the moment a large tree came down right on top of a car, narrowly missing him. It also took out a power line as well, leaving that entire neighborhood in the dark.
We're also on well and septic, so we don't have any running water or anything like that. I mean, it reaches our second story, is at least 12 foot probably.
More than 9,000 homes and businesses in Oregon are still waiting for power to be restored tonight. Strong winds fueled wildfires in Colorado overnight. This was the scene. Several fires began yesterday as storms with wind gusts over 100 miles per hour moved across the northern part of the state. 2 fires are continuing to burn in Yuma, east of Denver tonight, although authorities say evacuation orders in that area have now been lifted. Authorities believe downed power lines likely caused these fires. For more on the weather conditions we're seeing all across the West, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez, who is tracking the system behind these storms. Roberta?
Alex, isn't it insane when you start to think about those fires, and we're just a few days away from the first day of winter, but that's what wind will do when you knock down a power line. Those winds will not be as ominous in the Denver area tomorrow, but nonetheless, we're still talking about a bit of wind in Portland. Some of those winds to 30 and 40 miles per hour, all associated with this system. It is like a fire hose that continues to pound the Pacific Northwest, but it's sliding more to the south now. So Portland is now the target as opposed to the Seattle area. But nonetheless, all this will continue to drift in a southerly direction and start to impact Northern California. In fact, we're looking at nearly 2 inches of rain in the Eureka area by Monday and over 1.25 inches in the San Francisco area. And again, you can see that Portland is seeing more copious amounts of precipitation than Seattle between now and on Monday. Now, let's take a look at this because this is really going to surprise you. Between Friday and Christmas Day, take a look at San Francisco, 2 3/4 inches of rain expected. Look to the north of San Francisco, about 50 miles to the north of the city. We're talking about Santa Rosa, 7 3/4 inches of rain. And of course, a lot of this will shift either higher or lower. And look at Mendocino County, over 10 inches of rain. Obviously, that would cause some rock slides and also landslides and urban and small stream flooding. So watchful eye on all of this that is now moving into the state of California, eroding this huge dome of high pressure that's encompassing Southern California and the Phoenix area. What does this mean for the greater Lake Tahoe area? It's going to start off as rain, and we have a lot of people traveling from California into the greater Lake Tahoe area from Friday through Sunday. Don't even try it on Christmas Eve. It's going to be extremely windy, extremely raining, and then the temperature is going to start to drop. And as of right now, we're looking at Christmas Day, 2 to 5 inches of snow at lake level, 6,200 feet, above 7,000 to 8,000 feet, potentially a foot of snow, which would mean a white Christmas. Let's take you back to Seattle now. 53 degrees today with about 3/10 inch of rainfall there. This was a scene just outside of San Francisco at Bay Point at 58 degrees and a layer of fog. The fog rolled into Santa Monica. You could clearly see it there. You could clearly see the fog at 79 degrees, again, under that influence of high pressure. That's why the warmer temperature, 76 degrees in Phoenix. The extended forecast, more rain to the north and windy conditions in the Denver area, but not as bad. Only 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, but boy, glorious conditions if you're heading to the desert.
All right, looks good there. Roberta, thank you. Tonight, we are following a developing story. Hall of Fame NASCAR driver and Washington native Greg Biffle was killed in a small jet crash today along with his family. It happened earlier today in North Carolina. Officials say that Cessna crashed shortly after takeoff at Statesville Regional Airport, where it had just taken off. The pilot was trying to return to the airport when the plane went down. The family says Biffle was on that plane with his wife, Christina, and their 2 children. 3 other people who were on board the plane were also killed in that crash today.
Don't you dare let anyone tell you you're too young, you're not smart enough, and you're not connected enough. As long as you're a part of Turning Point USA, we will empower you.
3 months after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, his widow, Erica Kirk, took to a stage in Phoenix today for the start of Turning Point USA's annual conference. Erica Kirk opened up Turning Point USA's America Fest conference. It's a 4-day gathering that comes as young conservatives are debating how they will move forward here and move Charlie Kirk's movement forward. Fox 10's Nicole Christine spoke with attendees about where the conservative youth organization goes from here.
Attendees lining up to get inside and hear the message from the leaders of TPUSA. The event is drawing a large crowd to the convention center downtown, an exhibit hall featuring merchandise tables and information booths, bringing supporters of TPUSA's mission out by the hundreds. The organization touting this year's convention as different than past conventions, with a focus on celebrating Charlie Kirk's life and founding of the Turning Point youth movement. We spoke with attendees of all ages who say they're happy to be with like-minded people coming together to promote patriotism and Christianity, as they say Charlie did so well.
I'm super fired up just because I have young kids that are in high school, and so I feel like, a lot of what I'm doing here this weekend is kind of gaining some insight to take back to them so that when they go to college, Turning Point will be something that they look to with their school, and if their school doesn't have it, to possibly developing a chapter.
A lot more unity. I mean, it's really nice seeing Christ being more represented, so I think that's what makes this year so special.
Boldness, I think just like seeing Charlie give his life for what he believed in, just encourages me to be more fearless.
And America Fest 2025 will be capped off with an appearance from Vice President J.D. Vance on Sunday in Phoenix. Nicole Christine, Fox 10 News.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a serial killer faces a new death sentence. Up next, the prosecutor's reaction after the punishment was handed down.
Those chefs noticed right away. They said there's something wrong with these. It didn't look weird, it just smelled weird, and it cooked weird.
Also tonight, a Salmonella outbreak has put at least 13 people in the hospital across the West. We'll have a closer look at the eggs suspected of being at the root of this problem.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action and upon our oaths, unanimously find, having considered all of the facts and circumstances of this case, that the defendant should be sentenced to death. Signed.
Arizona serial killer Cleophas Cooksey is set to be executed by lethal injection. Earlier today, he was sentenced in Maricopa County for the deaths of 6 people. The jury was hung on a punishment for 2 other murders. Cooksey's killing spree started in November of 2017 when 2 men were found shot to death in a Phoenix parking lot. It ended a few weeks later after his mother and stepfather were found shot to death as well. Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell issued a statement today that says, in part, quote, "Anyone who questions why we need the death penalty needs to look no further than this case. It takes a special kind of evil to prey upon the vulnerable and needlessly take the lives of 8 innocent people." Cooksey's attorney has not yet responded to requests to comment on today's sentencing. Tonight, we're learning some new details about what unfolded before the murders of Rob and Michelle Reiner in the Brentwood home where they lived with their son, Nick. TMZ says there has been speculation that Rob Reiner kicked his son out of the house on Saturday night after they all left early from Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. But a source tells TMZ that Nick left on his own accord and checked into a hotel in Santa Monica early Sunday morning.
He left at some point Sunday morning, and we're told that when the room was cleaned up, they discovered a lot of blood in the shower and on the bed, and there was even blankets that were draped over the windows, seemingly to have some privacy in his room.
Nick Reiner made his first court appearance yesterday, facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. The 32-year-old appeared behind a glass wall wearing shackles and a suicide prevention garment. TikTok has inked a deal to sell the U.S. side of its business to 3 American investors. Those will be Oracle, Silver Lake, and MGX. Those 3 companies, along with a variety of new investors, will control 50% of TikTok's U.S. operation. The China-based company ByteDance will retain a nearly 20% stake, with affiliates of the company making up the remaining 30%. The deal is expected to close on January 22nd. Well, doctors tonight are blaming eggs for a new Salmonella outbreak here in the West. As Fox 40's Noah Anderson reports tonight, dozens of people across California have become sick.
That's right. This is a statewide outbreak, but it's affecting us more right here in Sacramento County. In fact, right here behind me at this Taylor's Market on Freeport, this is one of 6 Sacramento stores or restaurants to sell the now recalled Vega Farms brown eggs. And state and local health officials continue to warn the public not to eat, serve, or sell them to prevent further illness. Vega Farms Inc., an egg producer based in Dixon, is recalling cartons of its brown eggs after state testing found Salmonella that matched the strain found in sick individuals across California.
We initially pulled all of the eggs that we had.
Jason Chapman, general manager of Taylor's Market off Freeport, says the store sold about 7 12-pack cartons of the contaminated eggs, with one customer saying they just didn't cook right.
We used their eggs in our kitchen to do cooking for the store, and those chefs noticed right away. They said there's something wrong with these. It didn't look weird, it just smelled weird, and it cooked weird.
Taylor's Market is just one of 6 grocery stores or restaurants in Sacramento identified as sellers of the eggs. Sacramento County public health officials now urge residents to make sure recalled eggs are thrown away or returned to the place of purchase for a refund.
If a person is exposed to that bacteria, they will start exhibiting symptoms within 6 hours to 6 days. The usual symptoms include nausea, vomiting, fever, diarrhea, stomach cramps.
Dr. Olivia Kasiri, Sacramento County's public health officer, says most people recover quickly, but there is still a risk of more severe illness.
And in this outbreak, we have had some people hospitalized.
13 people across the state have been hospitalized, linked to 66 cases, with 49 of them reported here in Sacramento County. To put that into perspective, Sacramento County recorded 39 Salmonella cases in September, 48 in October, and 36 in November.
Usually, without this outbreak, we get a report of about 15 to 20 cases per month.
So to stay safe, public health officials recommend washing and sanitizing any items or surfaces that may have come in contact with recalled eggs using hot, soapy water. Now, if you or someone you know does become sick after eating some Vega Farms eggs, health officials say you need to reach out to your health care provider. But the good news here is that the Salmonella case counts, the amount of people that are becoming sick after eating these eggs, is now expected to decrease with this recall in effect. In Land Park, covering local news that matters, Snow Anderson, Fox 40 News.
The Trump administration is proposing new rules aimed at cutting off gender-affirming care nationwide for people under the age of 19. The nation's top health officials announced the proposal today. It would pull federal funding from any hospital that offered gender-affirming care, which the administration calls, quote, gender mutilation. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says major medical organizations have failed to protect kids from an ideological agenda.
They betrayed the estimated 300,000 American youth ages 13 to 17, conditioned to believe that sex can be changed. They betrayed their Hippocratic oath to do no harm.
Advocates say the proposal will only harm children with gender dysphoria by denying them the care they need. Some Democrats on Capitol Hill, including the first openly transgender member of Congress, claim Republicans are using this issue to draw attention away from the affordability crisis.
I actually think they think more about trans people than trans people think about trans people. They are consumed with this, and they are extreme on it.
The public will have between 60 and 90 days to comment on these proposed changes before they will be finalized. War correspondent Peter Arnett, who reported on conflicts from Vietnam to the Iraq War, has died. Arnett won the Pulitzer Prize in 1966 for his coverage of the Vietnam War. He dodged bombs and bullets to file eyewitness accounts for the Associated Press. He became a household name in 1991 for his live updates from Iraq during the first Gulf War. Arnett died at his home in Newport Beach, California, yesterday at the age of 91, surrounded by family and friends. Up next tonight here on West Coast Wrap, the international spotlight will be on California when it hosts World Cup games next year and the Olympics coming up in 2028. And the Invictus Games could follow. Up next tonight, the city that's on a short list to host this sporting event for wounded veterans. Also tonight, you may notice something missing this holiday season. We'll tell you how the Salvation Army is hoping to change that.
Every year it's just hard to get bell ringers. You know, we're only between 25 and 30 max.
California may play host to another international sporting event. San Diego is among 3 cities to make it on a short list for potentially hosting the 2029 Invictus Games. Aalborg, Denmark, and Daejeon, South Korea are the other finalists. Prince Harry founded the Invictus Games in 2014. The games give wounded service members and veterans a chance to compete in sporting events. The city selected to host the games in 2029 is going to be announced next summer. Well, the Salvation Army is dealing with a shortage of holiday bell ringers. Tonight, Fox 5's Joe Vigil reports on how that shortage is affecting their ability to collect donations and how you can help out.
Silence is not the sound the Salvation Army wants to hear, where bell ringers typically fill their red kettles.
You know, every year it's just hard to get bell ringers.
Major Kyle Smith says the Salvation Army has 70 locations where bell ringers collect money to help many in need.
You have 70 locations you're usually at. What number are you at because of the shortage?
You know, we're only between 25 and 30 max.
The Angel Tree effort resulted in an abundance of toys for families in need this year, but the lack of bell ringers has left the Salvation Army short about $100,000 of the $300,000 it would typically collect. That goes to feed people, house people, and help many homeless veterans. The major says part of the problem is many just don't realize how to become a bell ringer.
This is my 15th season.
Ronald Baker explained to us what ringing the bell has meant to him and what it could mean for you.
It would be a good way for them to get something back to people. It's an easy job because you're out among people, you're just being yourself, and that's it. You can't find an easier or better job.
The Salvation Army hopes a different ring will help fill the gap. You can sign up for a shift or shifts by simply going to registertoring.com. Joe Vigil, Fox 5 News, Local, Las Vegas.
Yeah, nothing like the sound of that ringing bell during the holidays. All right, finally tonight, 2 reindeer are back home in Southern California after breaking free and running loose on a freeway. This is incredible video. You have to take a closer look here. Noel and Cookie both escaped from their transport trailer last weekend. This all unfolded north of Los Angeles. Shocked onlookers posted videos of the animals as they made a dash for it. Now, at this point, we don't know if the reindeer were trying to head up to the North Pole. They were headed north at the time. They may have been trying to join up with Rudolph, Blitzen, and the rest of the crew to help out Santa with his Christmas deliveries. But Animal Services and Caltrans employees eventually corralled Noel and Cookie, and they are now back with their owners tonight, safe, just in time for Christmas. Quite the scene there on that freeway in Southern California. Glad to hear they're doing okay. All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. And a reminder before we head out tonight that you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering across the West Coast. Just head to our website, westcoastwrap.com. And please don't forget to stream all of our shows on your smart TV. All you have to do is download that free Fox Local app. Have a great night, everyone.